I've become so tired and very frightened by both of your attitudes towards the questions that I ask that I can no longer, in good conscience, do this skit. However, I will say that I don't think you guys should keep asking me why do the sound of bones grinding together sound so nice.
Oh my
So,
god.
um, anyways, welcome
Ugh.
back. Hey guys, welcome back to another weird and macabre episode. This issue of Words with Nerds, as always, I'm your boy, the hostess with the mostest, Sundance Kid himself.
Oh my god, it sucks following you up. I'm Slick. I don't know, second mostest, Vic. Number two. Uh,
Hello, my name's Vince, and sometimes people call me Space Case.
Can you just for once not be like the straight man, oh,
Me, the straight
I
man?
guess
Come on,
I
really?
guess they're both Joeys, and I'm gonna be a Chandler. So
Oh, you the straight man.
it would just be nice if
I'm
for
confused.
once you could be a
Who's the
Joey
straight
with
man?
us.
I
So,
don't know, dude.
anyways, guys, this week it looks like it is my turn to pick our topic. In which case, I will be doing drumroll, please. Comics. Oh yeah, comics and graphic novels. We will be this week. We'll each be choosing 3 of our most favorite comic slash graphic novels, and we will be explaining why.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I had for the whole episode. So now I won't be talking anymore. One of the V's, take it away, please.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys want to do a first 10? I mean, I don't really have anything that I saw that was interesting.
oh,
Eternals.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Pretty
Dude,
cool.
looks really cool, actually.
Go for it.
Dude, that trailer actually revealed so much for just like the hidden comic lore from like anyone who's. It just had a lot, and I loved it. I loved who's the comedian that's in the cast? Kamir.
Kamal Nunjani, I
Yeah,
believe.
dude, he is in shape. He is drastically in shape, and I love it.
Camille.
Camille, yeah.
Whoops.
But yeah. But yeah, okay. Yeah, him. I just want to say, just my initial thoughts. It looks amazing. Visually, it looks awesome. I hope the director does well, and this is. There's a lot of representation in it. From people of color to sexual orientation, and I think that's pretty awesome. That Marvel's being so high key with their energy. It looks like with everything that's coming out, they've been just batting 1,000, and it doesn't look like they're like taking their foot off the gas. So hopefully this will be another hit for them. I'm very much looking forward to it, and to see uh, Rob and Rob Stark and Jon Snow in the same
I was just gonna say
universe
that.
again.
I was getting ready. I was like, Rob Stark and Jon Snow back together. I'm actually excited to see both of them play different characters. I've seen, I don't know what his name is that plays Rob Stark. I've seen him play other roles. He was in 1917, which is an awesome movie, by the way. But I haven't seen Kit Harington, aka Jon Snow, play anything else besides Jon Snow. So I'm
Silent
excited to see
Hill
him.
Revelations.
I'll have to check that out.
It's terrible. No.
Maybe I won't then.
Anyways, let's yeah, I don't really have a lot for the 10 minutes, so let's just jump right into it because I don't know about you
We
guys,
got a
but
lot
I'm
to
hella
cover.
excited. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
very excited to talk about this. Being as though Vince was my first call, I FaceTimed him because it literally just the idea. I was stuck on our subject this week, and I was like, "What did we talk about?" Like we've talked about animes 2 straight weeks in a row, and
Mhm.
not that there's anything wrong with that, but like rule of thumb, I preferably like to like change up the subjects and talk about all lanes of the nerdum that we currently call our domain.
Yeah.
So this week I really wanted to do comics just because it was something that we could all relate to. I think we all three of us have grown up, reading comics from a really early age. I definitely used to sit in a library after school and just they had such a small section of comic books because back then they weren't very popular. And then for those who wondering, yes, I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, so we didn't have it right on our phones for us to just look for free. We had to actually get the paperbacks, as old as that makes me feel. But no, I'm jazzed about it. I don't know about you guys.
I'm the same way. Yeah, we grew up in the '90s, so we had to find the paperbacks, and I think that's what started. Like, if you can't tell from my background, like an addiction to collecting stuff, because I still have most of my older comics and stuff, and like
Mm-hmm.
it was just fun. Yeah, it's a good medium that we're going to talk about. I'm really excited to mention what I want to mention. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I've got some bangers as picks, at least in my opinion, obviously. But honestly, one of my favorite things, even to this day, is going to the comic book shop and spending like an hour there, just like going through all the goodies they got there. Like, um, it's just to me, it's so relaxing. It's
Yeah.
like going to a nerd library and just looking at all the different artwork and seeing what's out there, and then you know finding finding an issue that you really fall in love with. And I love picking up at issue number one and getting through the whole series. Like if I can find something that's pretty new, I'll dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, it's definitely nostalgic, and it's definitely something I still do to this day. Go to comic book shops and explore.
Love it. Okay, let's just start this off. Let's kick this shindig. Because it is my week, I will anoint myself first,
Yeah,
and
Fair enough.
yeah, go for it, man.
Fair enough.
screw both of you. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. There is this. I wrote them down, or I didn't write them down. I saved them all. So my first pick is going to be Star Wars Infinities. Star Wars Infinities is really niche graphic novel trilogy that came out in 2002 to 2004. They are basically what if versions for each of the original Star Wars movies. So
Whoa.
you have A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So in each story, and there's different artwork which I really like. I really like that in collections of comics, but I'll get back to that. In this particular comic, it's like, what if Leia got trained in the dark arts by Darth Vader, and what if Luke died on the ice planet that he was on, and it's just very cool to see the what ifs. The only want that I had after reading this, because it's 96 pages total, it is really quick to read. The only really objection that I had to it was that you had to be able to want what if for the trilogies. So like for like the new trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
like what if Anakin didn't go bad, in Return of the Sith, or what if the Jedi Council found out about Anakin and Padme's marriage and Attack of the Clones, or what if um, Anakin was never chosen, or Obi-Wan died instead of Qui-Gon, like stuff like that. Like I got really pumped for it as I was reading it.
Dude, that's badass. I'm into it already. Tell me more.
It's fun because there are different artists that for each of the what if scenarios. It's kind of like, for those that are listening, or watching, it's more or less kind of the Dark Horse Comics version of for DC and Marvel's like what if series. And I really enjoyed that because I think a lot of the fandoms that I know of, like for Game of Thrones, for example, like people like to read like fanfic. And it's been such a like a taboo thing because fanfics are just always so like raunchy or messy, and like people like do
For sure.
these really weird scenarios for a lot of the characters that they
Cringy.
like want, yeah, like that they want to see on.
Can only
Sorry.
imagine.
Yeah, that you can only imagine that you want to see on screen. But like this was one of those really well crafted type of like kind of fanfics. I always think of what ifs as like fan fiction, like come to life, where it's not canon, but we can dream. And so that's what I really like about this particular comic.
So, without spoiling too much, because this has definitely got my attention, I think this is going to be something that I end up picking up and reading for myself. Um, what's Can you give us like one scenario of the what if that kind of stood out to you?
Absolutely, which is actually in Return of the Jedi. So it's an alternate telling of the 1983 film Return of the Jedi, in which CP3O breaks during Leia's bounty for Chewbacca. Da-da-da-da-da. And
Hold
she
on,
has no
sorry.
translator.
Is it a new name or did you just mess it up on by mistake?
C3PO?
C3PO. Yeah. Is it
Did I fuck
C3PO?
it up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
C3PO is a name.
it's
C3PO.
C3PO.
I don't know. I heard you say CP3O and I was like,
Did I
wait,
say
they changed his name?
CP3O? Oh, I hope not.
Maybe I'm
Oh,
crazy. Who knows?
well, I don't like that.
I just wanted to see maybe they changed his name. Anyways,
Let me see. No, no, no,
sorry.
no, no.
CPPO.
CPPO. That's just, it's like the creepiest droid.
That sounds so gross.
CPPO.
CPP. Oh no, human cyborg relations. So in this particular scenario, it's like at the end, I think my favorite part about it was Vader didn't get killed, but instead joins like the rebellion, like the resistance. And at the end, he has this all white suit. Like it's literally the Vader suit, but it's white.
That's
And I was like,
fucking badass as
and
hell.
I just thought it
Pretty
was
cool.
cool because like he joins up and like Luke calls him father at the end, and I'm just like, well, much. But no, it's fun, man, because you get to see the without spoiling too much, you get to see how the characters interact in different situations. Like if everything like goes to shit, like you get to see a different side of these characters that like we've kind of immortalized in Star Wars history. Like we would like to see Han act a little crazy or Luke give up hope and stuff like that. So it's kind of macabre, but it's literally all my choices, by the way, are going to be kind of like ugh, like kind of dark. But I like
I'm here
that.
for
When I
dark
read
stuff.
comics, I'm just like I don't like the hero to just have everything figured out, which is probably why Spider-Man is one of my favorite heroes, because he's literally a teenager and then an adult who never gets his shit together. Like there's always something happening, and obviously you like okay. I'm not gonna rant on about Peter Parker because we'll be here all night. Space Case, because I came to you about it first. What is your pick, sir?
Yeah, I mean, again, that sounds like such an awesome first pick. I mean, we're gonna lead this off with alternate timeline Star Wars, and we're also gonna lead this off with me not being able to speak English. Once again, typical episode.
CPOO.
CPPO.
CPPO. My
Anyways,
savior. Yeah, go ahead.
so I will say in advance, I definitely I take notes for these episodes just so I can somewhat have my shit together. For the most part, I am gonna try to sound as non-robotic as possible.
Mhm.
But I wanted to get my stuff organized as I explain what these are. Um, but my first pick is going to be a graphic novel, which, if you've been to my apartment in the last year or so, you've seen this on my coffee table, probably. This is called The Wicked and the Divine.
Ooh.
All right.
And
Okay.
it is awesome. We'll talk first what caught my attention. I mean, you open this bad boy up and you're scrolling through and you get amazing art like this.
Mm.
Like the artwork in general. Oh my God. It's eye candy. the whole time. The whole friggin' series is eye candy. It is an amazing comic. So what it is, it's a contemporary fantasy comic book series. It's created by Kieran Gillen, not to be confused with Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula. This is Kieran Gillen. He's out there. It's done by Image Comics. It's largely influenced by pop music and various mythological deities. So as we go into this, you guys will see like where they pull in the pop music references and stuff. So it received a ton of positive reviews. It for a comic book roundup. I don't know if you guys read comic book roundup, but it's kind of like it's a big comic book. How do you say? Like they review comic books basically. It's pretty
Mhm.
well received, I guess. But anyways, they gave it an 8.6 out of 9 stars. And then as David was kind of talking about earlier with Eternals, it's been noted for its diverse portrayal with ethnicity, sexuality, and gender social roles, which is pretty cool. I have a lot of friends that are different ethnicities, identify in different gender social roles and stuff like that. So it was cool to kind of get a comic book where like, maybe they would like. So if you're in that and if you're in that demographic, I guess, and you're looking for a comic that kind of is relatable, as far as you don't have superpowers, but you can relate a little bit more, I guess. Um, anyways,
Just my hands on fire. What'd
my
you
hands
say?
are on fire. Yeah. So here's the scoop. This is what the comic's about. So it's a young teenage girl. Her name's Laura. She interacts with Pantheon. It's a group of 12 people that discover that they are reincarnated deities. The discovery grants them fame and supernatural powers, with the stipulation that they will die in 2 years as part of a 90-year cycle known as the recurrence. The narrative focuses on a group of people with superhuman powers known as the Pantheon. They were each a normal person before they got these powers, and then they get the powers after the 90 years. So basically, like I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden I pass out. I wake up. I don't remember who I am, but now a god has basically taken over my body for the next 2 years. The Pantheon kind of goes over. It's not just like it's not one religion or anything like that. There's Greek mythology, there's Catholicism, all sorts of stuff, man. It's pretty cool. There's a ton of characters that are tied in as far as the mythology goes. There is a main character. Her name is Lucy, and she is actually Lucifer. She's a badass. She's inspired by David Bowie. She looks just like David Bowie in a white suit. Some like
Oh, the Duke.
blonde chick. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And before she became Lucifer, she was actually Eleanor Rigby, who, if you guys got any Beatles fans out there, which personally, not me, but I remember the name. Eleanor Rigby is I probably have my facts wrong, which I apologize in advance. But Eleanor Rigby is it's a song by the Beatles, and it's referring to someone that they used to know. I don't remember if it's an actual person or not, but in this comic, it is an actual person, and that person becomes Lucifer. She's got some badass powers. She snaps her fingers and makes people's heads explode.
That's her power.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. She's insane. There is Amaterasu, probably saying that really bad as well. She was inspired by Florence Welch, who I have no idea who that is, but to me seemed more of like a Lady Gaga kind of person. The opening scene is our main character Laura at a concert for Amaterasu, and like it's known in the comics that these are gods. Like they're open about it. Like they're like, "Hey, I'm a god." So this particular goddess has decided to use her 2 years and become a pop sensation, and everyone's like obsessed with her because her concerts are, I'm not even making this up, they're so insane that they make people pass out and do other sexual things in their pants from time to time.
Hmm.
What
Like that's
god is she?
her god, well, she's Amaterasu. I don't know what pantheon that falls under. Um, but yeah,
I'm gonna borrow this when I come over
it's
next
pretty
time.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's got a lot
that's
of
good.
cool music references. Um, I'm big on the artwork, which drew me in a lot. But the story is pretty badass as well. It's kind of
Bless you.
seeing how these gods treat their time. They have 2 years and they won't be back for another 90. And there's a group of 12 of them. So every 90 years they come for, they enter our world for 2 years. They do things that are either good or bad, and they interact with each other and deal with what the others have done. So you kind of get to see who wants to play nice and who wants to play dirty with the powers, and how it affects the world around them.
I
So
like it.
yeah, The
Very
Oh,
Wicked
I
cool.
love
Divine,
it.
Yeah.
Image Comics. That's my first pick.
It's literally on. I as we were talking, I bought the. I bought.
About the first issue.
Is it
Yeah,
an
no, I
ongoing
bought the whole.
series?
No, I bought the whole thing. It's on my phone now.
Oh shit, that's
Oh, I
awesome.
thought you were just.
Enjoy, man. I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously,
I
is
love
it an
it.
ongoing series? No, it's from 2014 to 2019. There's 9 volumes. If you want, there's like a what do they call the big boys? Like with everything. I know
Box
Walking Dead
collection.
does it. The
Box sets.
compendiums.
Box sets. Or yeah, there's the what I forgot. Yeah, but it's like
Oh,
it has all the
compendiums.
volumes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
A
it's like one book. I think it's a compendium.
compendium of my knowledge. Speaking of compendiums, Victor.
Oh, that was well, Vince. That was actually. I'm really excited to check that one out. Mine, I decided to keep it easy. It's a big hint to it is that wall of pops behind me, specifically this row of 8 massive ones. It's one of my favorite series. It's actually created by one of my favorite writers, Robert Kirkman, who a lot of you know him from The Walking Dead. He was also known at Marvel as the zombie guy, and they decided to bring him on for an 8 or yeah, it's a 9 issue miniseries from 2002, and they were like, hey, take whatever property you want and just do what you want to do. So he made Marvel Zombies. That comic won 4 awards. Honestly, I would say there's a lot of volumes to it, but I'm going to specifically say if you have the chance, pick up the first volume set. I let Vince borrow it,
Mhm.
and the whole story pretty much. If you don't know who, yeah, if you don't know who the Avengers or anything are, just there's a lot you got to catch up on. But it follows essentially a plague that carries from another dimension because of the Fantastic Four, and the whole comic begins after I'm not going to reveal too much minus this after Magneto destroys the gate that brought the virus in, and the Fantastic Four zombies were trying to kind of go through it to infect other worlds. He destroyed it, and then although it's him saying he's like I destroyed it, I saved the world. He's like, now what do I do? And you just see like the entire Marvel Avengers lineup that ever was is just standing there all zombified. And if you guys have ever read any of the Walking Dead, it's almost the same artwork minus like just the glowing eyes. It's amazing. I think the story is great. Watching these characters who they know who they are. The infection just turns them into like just they're dead. They're dead and they hunger for flesh, but they know who they are. Like you see from Peter Parker to Bruce Banner to Thor to Ant-Man, they all kind of struggle with what's going on. Like Peter Parker, their whole thing is that they're hungry, and when they finally kind of eat and calm down, they can think. And Peter constantly remembers he's like, I hate Mary Jane. I killed my
Ooh.
Aunt May. Like he's like, what the hell did, like, what's wrong with me? And you see every other hero, like some are there just like, it's interesting to see how quick some characters flip and they're like, look, this is how it is. And other characters are just like, yeah, we're monsters now. Like we're worse than the people we stopped back in the day. The ones who wanted to end the world, we're worse than them now. It's one of those beautiful things. I just say read the first one. That's all you really need to read, and it ends really greatly. I know Robert Kirkman did make the second one, so if you read that one, the story's pretty good. But you could tell he was trying to finish it again. He was like, "Hey, I don't want to redo this again. I got my own thing going on with Walking Dead," and now he got pulled into the show right around that time too. Don't read anything else beyond that, but that's my pick. I genuinely love it. One day I hope to cosplay zombie Spider-Man, like with all my like guts falling out. Like I think it is such a weird way to say it, but it makes these people. If you ever wanted to read a Marvel comic and see a person like those characters, like their true humanity shine, read this comic because it's them struggling with the fact that they need to keep it, but they're slowly losing it because they are flesh-eating monsters. That's why I liked it. I liked it like that. I like dark stuff, which is why I was like, well, we're all going to be
Yeah.
macabre, I think.
I think all of us are really into the dark the dark side of a lot of stuff. But I think it's pretty interesting to hear you say that the reason you like Marvel Zombies is to gain more of a humanizing version of our characters when they've completely switched to non-human form, I guess.
Not spoiling. It might go a little bit into it, but
Don't spoil it for people, dude.
I won't spoil it. But it is. I'm
Go
saying it humanizes them more because it's like you ever have that situation where you're struggling with doing something bad, or you're struggling because you witnessed something bad, or you're struggling because you're like you don't feel fully there. It's like watching that on that level, and you get to see more of a humanity with certain characters, which I loved that. Like I loved reading it and just being like, holy crap, like it's like, and then put yourself in their shoes. Like, what if you did get bit by a zombie and then you're just like, I'm still me, but now I want to eat people. How do you struggle with that? It's interesting. It is interesting. Think about it like that. It's like a weird, like I liked it because it showed more humanity, but it also, if you were in that situation, what would you do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of interesting. What would you do if you were in that world and you didn't have any powers, and all of a sudden you're just like, hey, look, it's Captain America. His jaw's falling off. I should start running. Like, I don't know. I just like that. I like that stuff. And just whenever I could watch a character, when I could watch parallels of characters and see more humanity in them, I always appreciate that story. Because anytime I read like a normal kind of cookie cutter thing, like your story that you mentioned earlier with the Pantheon, I love it. That's different to me. That brings out aspects of humanity in gods, which is funny because it's 2 years. So you're telling me a story that these gods get to pick what they want to do. And one of them clearly is like, you know what? I want to be famous. I like those stories. That's why I'm going to check that out. But if you guys want to continue that trend as well with me and David and Vince's stories, just read Zombies, because you'll sit down and be like, oh man, these people are suffering, and it's really interesting to watch how they cope and how they try to figure it out, and more of their humanity shines out in this really dark time. It's like a Walking Dead story, like humanity shining in just a dark time.
It's badass. I think that's one that we've all read. I haven't read the entirety of it, but one that the three of us have read, and I will definitely agree with Victor that this is a badass comic. It's cool to see all the Avengers and all the Marvel characters that we've come to love just completely turn into zombies. And at first I was like, this is super gimmicky, like we got our Avengers and now they're zombies. But then I read it, and it's exactly what Victor just talked about, where there is a lot of depth behind it. There's a lot of story behind it, which it'll surprise you. It'll definitely take you by surprise. So, yeah, man, another good pick. I love it.
Yeah. Bless you.
On that note, wait, no, go ahead, Victor. What were you gonna say?
No, I said bless you.
Oh, thanks, babe. On that note,
you're welcome.
Super sweet.
In the words of Mr. Casale, am going to take a pee pee poo poo break.
I think a CPP.
No. Before the show started in our green room, I was like, "Hey guys, we're not taking a sponsor break this week, but we are taking our typical 30-minute break, and
30-second.
it's a pee pee poo poo break.
Pee
Pee
poo
pee poo
break.
poo break is.
Pee pee poo poo time.
So we will be taking this quick pee pee poo poo break, and we will be right back after
Yeah.
pee pee poo poo. Welcome back, guys, to another issue of Words with Nerds. We're in the second half now after that pee pee poo poo break. I just really like saying that phrase. As always, it's me, Sundance.
It's me, Slick. I say that, and my dogs know it's bathroom time, Vic.
It's a weird middle name. What's up, guys? Welcome back to issue number 25. It's Sundance, Slick Vic, and Space Case. You're hanging with the S boys. We didn't do that on purpose.
We did not.
And I don't tell really bad jokes on purpose either, I promise.
He does.
You do, and you're proud of it.
Sometimes I actually do, yeah, just to make people uncomfortable. But that wasn't one of them. I mainly made myself uncomfortable on that one. Did you guys actually go pee pee poo poo? Or because I got a brand new glass of whiskey. I just killed a bottle, not just today, but over time.
Hope not.
And now today was the day that I completed the bottle of Elijah Craig. We talk about.
Are you drunk? You're like, no. Today was not the day, but it was a day.
Well, I didn't want to say I just completed a bottle of Elijah Craig, and people to take that as this man just downed a whole bottle in a half hour.
You can be an alcoholic. It's fine.
Yeah, that's completely fine. If you're alcoholics
this is
out
just
there,
wine.
that's cool.
This is just wine.
I mean, I just don't want my mom calling me and being like, "Hey, we got to talk."
Are you okay? Yeah.
Fucking, your mom gave me shit for tying my hair back. I was about
my mom. Yeah, guys, if you're not friends with us on Facebook, definitely check it out because you get to see my mom. Who's a fan of the show. She's low key a nerd, just like I am, and she sometimes shit talks Victor's in the comments. So go ahead and check that out. And hit the like button as well.
Anyways, back to our second choice. Second round, boys. So the second choice for if you're just tuning in to the second half, we are talking about comics and or graphic novels and our favorite choices. Sorry. I will be doing my second choice, which I was going to save it for third, but I picked the multiple ones and I was just going to read through and see which ones I wanted to talk about. So this one is going to be from Tom King, who is big in the comic book community. Wonderful storyteller. This series in particular is Mr. Miracle.
Sure.
This is about Mr. Miracle is in the DC, he is in the DC universe. See, it's not you're fucking rubbing off on me, dude.
I'm sorry, man.
Speak the English language, but no, he's in the. So he's a new god in the DC universe, and as you know, there are people that are familiar with DC. New gods are. Very OP. They're very overpowered in all aspects. They are super strong. They're super intelligent. They're a lot of them are omnipotent. So. But Scott is probably the most human out of all of the new gods. He starts a life on Earth, and without getting too much into his backstory, he was the son of High Father, who's the leader of the new gods on New Genesis, which is a planet that is the opposite of Apocalypse, which is basically their dark side. Sorry, I have a really bad allergies, so if you hear me sneezing a lot, it's my bad.
You're explaining who High Father was, which is basically David or I, if and when we have children.
Indeed, so. So basically, I mean, Scott's just this very he goes to Earth and he grew up on Apocalypse. So there's a whole deal between Apocalypse and New Genesis to stop war. and as a ceasefire, they gave up a son from each of the worlds, and they grew up on those planets. So, um, Scott grew up on Apocalypse, and he's probably one of the most sunshiniest characters that ever came out of that fucking place. And he gets to Earth. He decides, hey, I'm going to be a hero. And as his day job, he's an escape artist. So he's, you know,
Shit.
he's the incredible Mr. Miracle. But, by
Oh.
day, he's just the regular Scott, Scott free.
Just your
So
run of the mill escape artist.
Run of your mill escape artist, and
I love how you're just like, as his day job, he's an escape artist. Like,
yeah, as his day job.
No big deal.
But in this particular single series, we see probably the most humanizing I've seen of a character that is supposed to be a god, which is I don't want to give anything away, but he goes through a crisis in his life, and from there it takes this weird turn of you don't know whether the story that you're reading is actually Scott's reality or not. But the more that you get into it, the more that you see that Scott is just a regular dude. Besides being a new god, he's just this guy who's going through everyday life and having these struggles, and dealing with grief and depression in a way that is very normalizing. And this came out a couple of years ago. It's very nuanced. It takes a character that a lot of people have known and kind of gives it a 180 and very much grounds. And I think that's what I love about comics, is that they take these larger than life characters and they kind of ground them into who they are at their core. So Mr. Miracle, it's wonderful. It has a great voice. It is a wonderful supporting cast, and the artwork is chef's kiss, baby. So I would definitely recommend Mr. Miracle by Tom King, which came out in 2018. It is a very short series, and I think you will all enjoy it.
Awesome. That sounds awesome.
Sounds beautiful.
I forgot to mention earlier, I do get the pleasure each week of editing our videos. So I am going to do my best to incorporate art of all the comics that we're talking about as we're talking about them. So yeah, if you guys are on YouTube, enjoy. I'm excited to check stuff like this out because I've never read Mr. Miracle. David's talking about the artwork. I'm excited to see what it's like, kind of see what you like, what kind of artwork style you like.
I'm all over the place. Sorry. I'm all over the place, but I really enjoy when, and not to cut you off, but I really just enjoy when everything looks kind of messy. I really hate hyper realistic stuff because I feel like the whole thing about comics is it's supposed to be kind of out there. So the more realistic it is, I'm like, it's not for me. But
I wonder if you would like the art style of my next pick.
Let's find out.
So I'll show you right now, but as I said, I'll incorporate some artwork as we talk. Let me find here. So my next pick is a comic book, and it is called Die. Yep, that's it. Die. D-I-E. It's kind of a play on words, and you guys will see in a moment why. So Die is a horror fantasy comic book about role-playing games. Again, this one, I didn't even do this on purpose. I just found this out as we picked our three favorites for this episode. This one's also written by Kieran Gillen, who wrote The Wicked and the Divine, which I was like, I guess maybe, this guy's doing something that I like, apparently. But yeah, Kieran Gillen, again, not Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula. He wrote this one. This has a different illustrator, and this is Image Comics once again. So here, I'll show you guys real quick. David, check this out. Maybe you'll like the style of this. Obviously it's clear and stuff, but it's a little messier. Like these, he got some blurred lines and stuff, not very clear cut lines and stuff like that. But yeah, so This one, I'm talking about particularly the first volume. It's called Fantasy Heartbreaker.
Mm.
Again, like the art style, the cover of this, the name of it, Fantasy Heartbreaker, like it all just sounded so cool. I was like, I need to get on board with this right now. So I'm in. I'm currently on issue 3. And this is by far like one of the coolest comics I've read ever. Um, so here's what it is. It's 1991. I am -1. Um, David's -1, and Victor is 1.
You young bitches.
We're young bitches. Anyways, it's 1991 in the
I'm old
comic.
dusty.
We get our main character. His name's Dominic Ash. He's spending his 16th birthday by inviting over his friends for a tabletop game, role playing game, and he's created the game himself. This game's a lot like Dungeons and Dragons. Um, so it's our main character Dom, his younger sister Angela, his friends Solomon, Isabel, Matt, and Chuck. And as soon as they roll the die, they are transported into the world of die. So it becomes very quickly like cyberpunk Dungeons and Dragons meets
Cool.
Jumanji, kind of like you get sucked into the board game, and it's fucking cool.
Okay.
I'm all
I'm
about
down.
this.
I'm
All
down.
right.
So 2 years later, the group emerges. Angela is missing an arm, and Solomon, I'm gonna call him Saul because that's what we call him in the comics. He's gone. Just he's not with the group. So obviously, two questions were like, what happened to this girl's arm, and where's Saul? What happened? So we fast forward to our main character again, Dom. It's his 43rd birthday. He receives an unmarked package, and it's a gift for his birthday. He opens it up, and what is it? It's Solomon's missing 20-sided die with blood on it. So obviously, this sparks everyone to get back together. Now they're in their 40s, 30s. They're all, kind of older. And they have to dive back into the world of die and try to figure out what happened to Saul and where he is. So they go and do that. And our characters are extremely different from the humans that we've come to know in the comic thus far. We get in here and our characters have all different looks and powers and all sorts of stuff. And this is what we're working with. This is what really caught my attention. This happens like you're like 10 pages, 12 pages in when this happens. So I'm not spoiling it this by any means. I'm just going to give you the rundown.
Mhm.
So our characters are our main character, Dominic Ash. He's now known as Ash, and he is now a woman. Um, she is a dictator. So that means she has the ability to manipulate people's emotions and convince them to do her bidding with her words.
What a dick.
Right? There's a lot of interesting stuff with her, like with relationships and stuff. She kind of like forces people to be with her, and it gets weird. Like not bad weird, but like
Weird, like story, like
yeah,
moving the plot weird, but it's
manipulative.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Um, Angela, she's Dom's younger sister, the one that was missing the arm when they came back. She's known as a Neo. It's basically, it's basically a cyberpunk inspired character, represented by the 10-sided die. She can gain control of machines and teleport herself. She's able to manifest a robotic version of her childhood dog, and it's her companion. So she's got like this mech dog that fights with her. It's pretty badass.
That sounds dope.
All her abilities are powered by Fairgold, which
Love it.
is Fairgold. Maybe it's a common thing, but at least in this, it's gold. It's currency that like elves use in the world. So it's almost like she's gambling and she becomes addicted to the power. Um, we've got Angela, I just talked about, and then we've got Isabel. She is a Godbinder. Godbinder is a character archetype represented by the 12-sided die. She's able to demand favors from 12 gods, each representing different elements and ideas. But the catch is she has to repay them for any favors that she asks. So she's literally like calling on gods as she's like the Ash Ketchum of gods. She's just tossing out gods to help her fight in these fights.
That's that is the most interesting character you've told. Like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's so
I've got
dope.
I've got two more real quick. Matt, he's my personal favorite. He's called the Grief Knight. So he is an emotion-based character. He has the 8-sided die. He carries a talking sword and verbalizes his worst fears and insecurities, and they become more powerful as he becomes more emotional. So again, no spoilers, but there's a scene where like someone makes him really upset in order to get his powers going, and he unleashes it, and he fucks some stuff up. It's pretty cool.
I'm just imagining a character being like, "Hey, yo, Matt, good luck. By the way, you a bitch."
Our other character, Chuck, he's a fool. Basically, as long as he's doing the wrong thing and acting like a fool, he will be okay. But this is only for him. He's the only one that can act like a fool and be okay. But the catch is he doesn't always know if his wrong choice is the wrong choice, if that makes sense. And then we pretty much, again, this is not spoiling. We're looking for Saul, our missing friend. They find him basically right when they get into the game. And who is he? He's the grandmaster of the entire world of Die. What he says goes. He can change anything. He can change people's powers. He can change the lay of the land. And oh yeah, he's kind of a bad guy now. So here we are. We've got our friends years later sucked into this game, trying to save their friend who has now become the all-powerful grandmaster of the world that they are in. So yeah, Die. It's badass. I love it. If you guys think that's cool, check it out, and I hope you love it too.
I really want to. There's like two or three characters in there that I'm just like, that's brilliant, and I've never heard of that kind of stuff. The Godbinder, and then the grief, grief swordsman, essentially. Like, that's pretty badass. I am gonna check that one out for sure.
I have the first issue up already. So
You bought this one too?
After this, I'm gonna read it. Oh no, I just
That's
found a free version of it. So,
dude, what the fuck? It's almost the first of the
man.
month. Don't you got bills? What the hell? Just dropping money on comics left and
I
right.
didn't buy this one. I do what I do.
Fair enough.
What was I gonna say? Victor. Go ahead.
It's my turn. Mine is I just like them. So my picks, like, they're not really like, they're not too unknown, but you know, they are ones that I always think most comic people should check out once. Most comic book aficionados should check out once. It was created by Alan Moore in 1988. It is The Watchmen. It's one of the best books ever written, and I say books because it's just, when you get all the issues together. I have the hardback, the complete volume set, and I love it. Like, you have to read it in just that order. I couldn't imagine how it came out published like one by one, but it's so good that it won a Hugo Award. And if you any of the writing aficionados here know, if not, the Hugo Award, there's only 150 books that have that title of all time. Like, that book is ranked as one of the best books ever written. Alan Moore, he wrote From Hell, he wrote V for Vendetta. So if you can't, like, from those two, you could kind of get an idea of what it is, but he likes writing just the darkest timeline stuff. And he likes writing a lot of political satire. So if you read any of that stuff, he will incorporate whatever at that time, just the political point of views that he would have. He's kind of nuts. Watchmen follows pretty much the story published by DC it's a confirmed DC universe. It's a confirmed alternate reality for DC where there are superheroes that exist, but they're superheroes in the sense like they just put on a costume and brawl. But there is one superhero that has superpowers called Dr. Manhattan, who he has his powers called atomic control. He can do anything with atomic energy. So he can rearrange his molecular structure. He can destroy things just by looking at them. He sees time differently than most people. I don't want to ruin it. This is all within the first 5 pages, so it's not too much spoiling for anyone who hasn't read it. The whole story is kicked off because one of the old heroes, one of the old vigilantes, gets murdered. That's literally page 2. One of them gets murdered, and now the group's paranoid character, which is Rorschach, which is the Batman in the Question of that universe, he comes to the conclusion that there's someone out there trying to kill the old soups, because they kind of try to spoiler alert. No, not spoiler alert, because it's in a trailer. They made a movie of this because it was so popular at a time, and Zack Snyder liked it. So my hat's off to that man. They try to kind of play it off that the soup that gets killed got killed by a burglar, and anyone who knows that he was a soup, it's like, no, this guy, a regular burglar, could not kill this man. This man is he fought in the army as a superhero. So I like it because I did a lot of history searching for it when I was younger. Alan Moore originally wrote the Watchmen story as a story for the main continuity of DC. All the characters that you see in there, if they remind you of someone from DC, it is because he was basing those characters off DC. But then DC did not want them to kill off characters when he finished the storyline. So they ended up changing it, where they're like, look, we'll publish it for you, but we can't let you use these characters. Dr. Manhattan is based off of one of the heavy hitters in DC, which is Captain Atom. Same power set, the same way they got their powers. Rorschach is based off more of the Question, a little bit of Batman, and then the true Batman of that world is Night Owl. Ozymandias is Mr. Terrific. So when you watch that, you see all those parallels. Now, mentioning that, you'll read it and be like, "Yep, I understand where these parallels come from." And the reason why I like it, if you take out the superhero stuff, you'll see it's a very cool espionage kind of thriller story. It's a thriller story with superheroes thrown in there. If you took that out, this would still be you would be reading it glued page to page to page to page. I always recommend anyone reading it, because if you like that, check it out. If you like literature, definitely something that it's not that like you're going to sit down and be like bored. Because anytime I read a comic, sometimes I do get bored. I don't know if you guys are the same way. Like sometimes there's certain plots that don't get answered that piss me off, and I get bored because of that.
Yeah.
Watchmen is one of those only things, because that dude didn't want to write anything else. He's like, I don't want to continue this story. He wrote it as he had the beginning and ending in mind. So when you read the whole thing, it's every plot hole that you would imagine is just filled up. There is no dangling threads. And I genuinely appreciated that about this. That the writing makes these people make these funny people that dress up in costumes feel really like relatable at times too. That's why I liked it too. Check it out if you guys have a sec. Like if you guys have a second, check it out. They have it at most libraries, like under the comic book section. You could find it on Amazon for $9-10. Like check it out if you got the time. Oh, and also check out From Hell and V for Vendetta, because those are the same writer. So that's my thing. Sorry, nice. Mine's are dark. That's heads up.
Watchmen's another one that I am very familiar with. I remember my junior year in high school, my English teacher, surprisingly, he gave us like 10 books to choose from to read and then do a paper on. And I thought there was some sort of mistake. I was going through these books and I pulled one out and it's a comic. And I was like, Mr. Madsen, is this supposed to be in here? He's like, yeah. I was like, huh, fuck yeah. What a joke. All right. I'm going to read a comic and get away with it. So here I am in it. Like this in my experience or with things that I've read as far as graphic novels go, Watchmen is very I don't even know if this is a word, but I'm going to use it anyways. If it's not a word, then we should make it. This is the most novelistic of graphic novels. You know,
I
it
think
sounds
that
about right.
is. It sounds
Sounds
real.
sounds super smart. Anyways, it's the most like a actual novel is what I'm
Mhm.
getting at. There's a lot of text in it, and I, even as a 17-year-old kid reading this, I still loved it. It wasn't like a chore to read through this novel. It's like Victor said, man, like this is such a great story. There's so much depth to it. It really does a great job at humanizing and kind of bringing down the fantasy of superheroism, uh, kind of killing that off and really giving us relatable characters that are just here as heroes in their world. And it's a really dark story as well, which is pretty cool to see. If you guys haven't seen Watchmen, wake up, stop sleeping, go check it out. The book is dope. There's a movie. The movie is kind of long. It's what, like 3 hours?
Yeah, it's okay. I'll be honest with you.
Definitely worth it though. And then on HBO, there is a newer series, Watchmen, as well. They're all connected.
I heard that's good too. I heard that's really good.
Yeah, it's great.
But let's go. We got Mr. I hope I saved my best for last, so I hope we're all gonna try to knock each other out of the park with these like things that I'm sure it's gonna be fun. Dave, what's your third here?
Fables.
Fables.
Fables is a series that ran from 2002 to 2015. You might recall that they made a video game based off of this, but
Oh,
it is
yeah, yeah,
called
yeah.
Like the medieval game?
You see.
So-
You see Daddy talking, right? Okay.
Treated.
Telltale Games is famous for making Telltale Games is famous for making video games, kind of like a choose your own adventure type deal. In this case, they made one called The Wolf Among Us. Wolf Among Us, which was why did both of you make that face?
Because I know this. I know what you're talking about. It's awesome.
A Wolf
I
Among
don't.
Us.
I don't.
A Wolf Among Us is the video game version. So Fables is a modern retelling of. So imagine all of the fables and the characters that you had stories about told to you from your parents, like the Big Bad Wolf and the Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White and Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella and all of those characters. Well, in fables, they actually exist, but they, instead of something, without giving too much away, a calamity happened, a catastrophe that happened in the fable universe that they come from, that forced them to go to the real world that we regular mundies or humans occupy. So
Hmm.
there's a whole section of Manhattan, New York, that they occupy that the humans don't know exists. It's right in front of them, but there's kind of like a mist or a magic surrounding their whole area, Fabletown, that is basically just blocking them from the rest of the world. The series follows a number of characters, but the main character is Big B Wolf, who is the kind of humanized version of the Big Bad Wolf in all of the stories that we heard when we were a kid. So this character is so cool. He was kind of like made, I feel like, kind of in vein of Humphrey Bogart and Clint Eastwood kind of put together, where he's constantly smoking and constantly drinking to hold down his feral nature as a wolf, like an actual hulking wolf. He's this very scruffy dude who's just, he always looks like he's been in a fight. He's very sardonic and says very little words. So, but as the series goes on, you kind of see other characters like Snow White, Red Riding Hood, the three pigs, and there are characters that have what's called a glamour on them, which they take glamour magic that they have to pay for through like their government. Like Fabletown is an actual town that has government spending, like everything, like it's real world type deal. And Big B is the sheriff of the town, like, which is kind of the ultimate fuck you to, oh, this guy's a villain, this and that. Like he's reformed, and he's kind of taking care of everybody. And it's funny because in the story, you think Big Bad Wolf, and you think he's, automatically going to be the villain, but he like realistically ends up being the most moral, like upstanding moral character,
Hmm.
which is just a like cements in your head when you start reading like from issue 1 that that it's just turned the fables that you knew when you were a kid upside down. So I would highly suggest reading it. It is a lot of issues though, so be in for quite the ride. The artist changed throughout the years, so it kind of takes a different feel from the first issue than like a couple of years later when you're reading it. So I think it's pretty cool. Also,
Nice.
plot point, but it's sort of a spoiler, but not so much of a spoiler. One of the villains is Bloody Mary. So
Oh, what?
I think that's very cool.
Should have led with that.
Yeah, I know. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my third choice.
I like it. I like it. I'm curious to see. It's an ongoing series.
No, it ended in 2015.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I might as well just buy the whole thing and I read it. It sounds good. It sounds like something that
Yeah, just download them like David does.
I was yeah, just right now. It sounds like something I like, which is just a guilty pleasure. Once upon a time. It sounds
It
like
is.
Yeah, a
that.
little bit.
So that's why I was listening. I'm like, this sounds like the darker version. I'm down about that.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good pick. All right, sorry.
Is it dark like that?
It's it gets really dark at times, but then there's like some really lighthearted moments too. You just got to think about it like it turns everything upside down. Like good character or characters that you think are good aren't necessarily good, and people or characters that you think are bad aren't necessarily bad. So, and it doesn't just take like one continuity. For the most part, it's Aesop's fables. So it's like, the frog and the rabbit and this
Peter
and that.
Rabbit.
Yeah, Peter Rabbit and shit like that. So it's very fun. You guys will both definitely enjoy it. Mr. Space
Hell yeah.
Case. Give me that third.
I mean, this might come to a huge surprise to you guys and people that know me outside the podcast. But my final pick for this episode is none other than The Walking Dead.
Mr. Kirkman.
Another Robert Kirkman special. He did Marvel Zombies. I mean, you guys can see right behind me. I'm a big Walking Dead fan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't even make notes for this one. Not to toot my own horn, but like I'm pretty well versed in the Walking Dead universe. Whether it's the games, the shows, the upcoming movies, the comics. Like this is my meat and potatoes right here. You guys both have questions. What's up?
Oh, I don't have one. I just like putting my hand up.
To toot Vince's fucking horn here. We used to work together, and we every Monday I would come back in, and I used to love The Walking Dead, and he was still into it. I would just tell him to tell me the episode, and he would be able to like tell me in such detail shit where he's like, I swear to God, it's getting so good. You should get back into it. And I'm just like, why, man? I'm in the chair with Vince right now. I'm on this episode with Vince. I'm enjoying it with Vince. Like dude knows his shit.
Yeah, because I know it. So this is why I picked the comic. Some of you guys might be familiar with the show, and the comic books. They're similar, but it's a different story. There are characters in the comics that don't exist in the show, and vice versa. There's characters that exist in the show, like Daryl, Tara, Merle. They are not in the comics, but you get other characters that play a larger role in the comics or different roles than they do in the show. And I think that reading The Walking Dead is a completely different experience than watching The Walking Dead. So this is definitely something I've had a lot of fun. You know, basically like it's one story in two different universes, like two, like it's an alternate timeline basically. Um, if you guys don't know The Walking Dead at all, it is the story of Rick Grimes. He's a sheriff in a small town in Georgia, right outside Atlanta. He gets shot pursuing some robbers. He gets rushed to the hospital, falls into a coma, and when he wakes up, the world as we know it has changed, and now there's a zombie apocalypse. Spoilers, no, it's not a dream. What do you think? Robert Kirkman's basic as fuck? No.
He's the zombie guy.
No, it's not a dream. It's such a bigger story than that. Um, so yeah, he's all alone in Atlanta, and it's a friggin' zombie apocalypse. So first thing he wants to do is find his family, find his son and wife, and he goes on a little bit of an adventure. This is somewhat spoiler free, but The Walking Dead's been around for so long that it's either already spoiled for you. You already know this, or you're so far behind that I'm sorry that I'm spoiling it for you, but it is what it is. So yeah, he goes on a little adventure to find his family. He runs into everyone's favorite character, Glenn. This is both in the show and the comics. This is this is the same exact way it plays out. They end up going back to Glenn's camp, and sure enough, it is where Lori and Carl, Rick's wife and kid, are. So they're reunited. There's a group of other kind of ragtag people set up at a camp, and it's basically a story about survival. Sticking to the comics, because this is a comic episode, and not diving too much into the show. The story is, how do we survive a zombie apocalypse as normal people? It evolves very quickly as we've got a handle on it. We know how to survive. We know how to fight these zombies. We know what we're doing. And it quickly becomes, there are no rules. There's no government, no police system, there's nothing. So people want to take advantage of that. People want to become governors and kings and saviors. They want to, they want to be in charge, and they, in their own minds, think they're doing the right thing, but it might go completely against what another group thinks as being progressive towards the human race and what they need to do to repair and survive and move forward in the world. So there is a lot more human versus human battles and storylines than there are zombies. The zombies eventually become just kind of like the undertone rather of the series. A lot of iconic stuff come from The Walking Dead. I mean, Rick Grimes, Negan, these are like huge characters.
The governor.
The governor, yeah. Recently, Alpha, the later villain in the series. Yeah, again, it's cool to see how characters in the comics play different roles than they do in the show. I will say, Andrea in the show kind of gets not as cool of a story as she does in the comics. In the comics, it's a so much better version of her. Tyrese as well. He kind of got snubbed in his story arc, but yeah, check out the comics if you guys haven't read The Walking Dead yet. If you guys have seen the show and haven't read it, it's definitely a great alternative to see how things play out.
Yeah, that was well put. That makes me want to check out that comic series. Even though, like, I don't know. You read the comics. Does it really? Would it affect it? Would it affect the twists and turns of it? If I've watched the show to season 8, would that really matter? Is there like a lot of kind of parallels with one another?
No, so I would say in the show, it really diverts after season 7. Like season 7 really just like lays a hammer down on a lot of the story and characters that are really prevalent in the comics, and especially in that story arc that they're telling, where it just completely changes. And now it went from like, it's like a Y. That's how I look at it. It's in the beginning, it's very like there's parallels all throughout, and the farther you get in the show, the further it becomes from the comic.
All right, all right. Now I'm definitely gonna. I'll check it out. I have some. You know, I have. What is it? Here Comes Negan. I have that one, so I might as well check out a few
Mm-hmm.
more. But yeah, that's a good one.
I have issues 1 through 6. I'm missing a bunch in the middle, and then I've got the whole All Out War arc that is the like Negan's introduction all the way to the end of that story arc. If you ever want to borrow them,
I'm down. Oh, thank you.
Victor,
Oh, sorry.
we get that last and final choice from you, my friend.
So I was originally going to pick another thing that I mentioned to you guys, but I feel like I should end it with something that I feel doesn't get a lot of love. In 1992, Stan Lee actually got the opportunity to write for DC, and he did the DC What Ifs. That's where the creative team of DC allowed Stan Lee to rewrite certain characters' origins. So he wrote. It was such a short-lived miniseries, but if you ever get if you ever want to see how this dude definitely thought, like creatively, it's a good one because he rewrote the origins for the entire kind of Justice League for the 5 main members, and then he rewrote the origins for Shazam, Deathstroke, and there's one more character, but I think it was one of the most just amazingly thought out stories, and you don't feel like it's copying anything. Like you genuinely are just like, oh, this if he wrote this would have been successful on its own, and it's amazing that he was able to kind of take those. Like, this is the only spoiler that I would want to say. You both know who Shazam is, correct?
yes.
Shazam, Billy Baxton. So Shazam in this one he's a grown man. He's a grown archaeologist. One day he breaks into the temple of the demon Shazam. It's a demon that's comprised of 7 sins. So he takes the flip of how it was with Shazam being the one who protects the world from the 7 sins. It's the demon comprised of the 7 sins. When he gets it, the demon makes a pact with him that he doesn't know. He only knows the word to activate it, but the demon says, if you're ever in trouble, say my name, and I will pull you out of that trouble for an hour. So it's one of the first things that ends up happening is like he's flying in a plane, the plane detonates and he's falling, he's burning, and he just says Shazam, and you see a thunderbolt strike where he is, and the demon's in his place. So the demon, the way that story worked with that character is that he eventually figured out what's going on, and he tried to use the demon for good. And I was like, this is dope. If you continued this story, I would have fucking loved it. It had such a short run because they couldn't keep Stan Lee on staff for so long. Like he was just like, I got other shit to do, dude. Honestly, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then Superman's is actually pretty neat. His reintroduction origin story. Superman's just a cop. That's all I can say. He's just a cop.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Lame.
Well, no, he's a cop on Krypton. Like that's the difference. He's a cop. A cop on Krypton, and it's them. It's the story follows them forming the Justice League in that weird universe. So if you guys ever can watch or just look up Stan Lee's What Ifs, it's such a good, like, contained story. I will say, what's up?
It is called Just Imagine.
Or Just Imagine. Yeah, my bad. Mm-hmm. Just Imagine. Like, it was, I remember reading that when I was younger, and I fell in love with everything. Batman. That's the one thing I do want to say that might spoil it, but Batman.
Don't
There's
spoil
a
it. I have it pulled up. I want to read this. I have all of these comics that we were talking about that I haven't read. So no, you're not going to spoil
So
it.
this is a comic. It's basically Marvel's What If, which actually airs next month, I believe, June or July. Um, but so it's basically Marvel's What If, but with DC instead, and Stan Lee was brought over to do it.
Yeah, so they asked him to do it. They're like, "Hey, it
Pretty
would be really
cool.
awesome if you could." Yeah, and it's so interesting because you could tell he puts his spin on it. Like you obviously you'll be like, "Oh, like this is the Peter Parker. This is the Captain America. This is the Fantastic Four of his mentality of like how it should have been."
Hmm.
And he just put his twist into it. It's something that you'll read it and then you'll get into it like I was, and then I already spoiled that part. It didn't finish because he just didn't have the time to finish it. And you'll be there like, damn, like there's like that there's a good plot that they developed in it. But that's all I want to say because if we talk too much, it gets spoiled. But that's mine. Very underrated. Read, and even the character designs, you'll love it. Just read it if you get the chance.
Nice.
For
I didn't know that existed. That's pretty cool.
Just
Sounds like a good read.
Right? But yeah, that's my last one. So boys,
yeah, I think we all hit our 3.
Yeah,
I think we hit our stride on this one, boys.
Yeah.
So I got a couple comics I need to pick up now. Thanks to you guys.
I'm gonna borrow
some. Read one after I do my homework, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to doing something like this again. You know, whether it's in a couple months or whatever, but like, kind of, we did our top-notch RPGs, where we picked 3 RPGs that we really liked. This is a little different when we go into comics. I don't know, personally, I think it would be cool for us to like take a couple months or whatever and read some comics or maybe talk about stuff we already know and come back, then and kind of do this again. Cause personally, like, I just discovered a bunch of stuff that I want to go read, and maybe people listening, people watching are in the same boat. So I think that'd be kind of cool. Something we can definitely discuss and possibly do in the future.
I'm definitely going to be taking some comics from Vince's place and
go for it.
Definitely just buying some because definitely the one about the gods definitely was something I want to sit down and read and not like be worried about giving it back to you. Just like enjoy, you know what I mean? Just enjoy it, sit and enjoy it. Plus, add it to my personal library.
I had Marvel Zombies for like almost a year until you actually
year and a half
grabbed it back. Well, I finished it and then I just like, you just never grabbed it. I never took it back to you. But then you came over one night for beer and you're like, this is my comic. Just like, yeah, then you forgot you gave it to me and I totally forgot that I had it. Just snagged it off the bookshelf again.
I almost spent $30 on a new one. This was a fun talk. This is going to be a plug for the YouTube. Did you see how close we are plays wise to that video on the RPG one?
To RPGs? Yeah, honestly. So not a big deal IRL, but a big deal to us. We're almost at 100 plays for our first video ever, and it is the top-notch RPG video. Honestly, that's so exciting. It is. It's in the grand scheme of things, like, it's 100 views, but like, I'm happy with that. That's cool. 100 people.
I'm excited.
Like our stuff.
Hell Me too. Yeah.
So if you guys are listening and haven't seen that top-notch RPGs video, and that's something you think you would like, definitely go check it out. Give us a play or two. We definitely appreciate it, and we hope you guys listen to that and find a game that you want to play. But yeah, I've talked way too much tonight. Once again, I'm ready for bed.
Me too.
And yeah, boys, I'm ready to send it off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, am I sending it off?
Send it off. Yeah,
you just said you're ready to.
Well, David's like, this is David's week. David's kind of like low key the actual like host of.
No. You got it. Do your thing.
Damn, dude. Now I'm pressured.
I want to see it so bad. Come on.
No, again, man, like issue 25, we're slowly creeping into the 30s as the three of us are in age. Um, if you guys like this episode, go ahead and subscribe and like. Comment below. I will actually make sure the comments work when I upload for YouTube because I keep messing that up. So sorry about that. But yeah, if you guys like this episode, we're happy. You know, this is me just trying to figure some shit to send off
It's
on the
beautiful,
spot.
dude. It's just
You guys
gorgeous.
are loving
Please
this.
keep going. Oh yeah,
Um,
entirely.
David,
Uh,
please take this. Take it away from me. Take away the power.
Jeez.
Shazam. All right. As always, guys, we really appreciate you listening and watching. And as always, is me, Sundance himself.
That was fucking beautiful, man. Thank you for listening and watching. It is me, Slick the Vic.
And thanks again, guys. Hope you have a good night, a good day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And we'll